All right, on the bench today out of a 2018 Ford Fusion with a 1.5, we have the 6F35 6-speed front-wheel drive transaxle. All right, so here's the thing with this. Got 20,000 miles on the car. You know, a very nice older man drives the car. He got it new. He's got 20,000 miles on it since 2018. So it's making a noise. It makes a noise when you select reverse, and it makes a noise when you select drive. The noise goes away in neutral and park. You know, typically when you have this problem, you're dealing with a bad converter. But the noise that I'm hearing does not coincide with a bad converter. So I didn't even pull the converter out yet because I wanted to make this video first. I think this transmission has a stripped stator. Now, the car's got 20,000 miles on it. I've never seen this happen before on one of these 6F35s, but it reminds me of the video that I made on the Jeep with the NAG 1 or the 722.6, the Mercedes unit, and that video was entitled "What a Noise." To me, as soon as I heard that, I said, man, this reminds me of that video, and I'm going to say we got a stripped stator here. But I'm going to let you guys hear the noise because I did film it already. So we're going to, after the intro, you guys are going to hear that. Then we're going to go back to the bench, and I'm going to pull the converter out. I'm going to see exactly what we have, and I'll give you a close-up shot to it. All right, so I personally think we're dealing with a stripped stator. The car drove, you could drive it down a block, forward, backward. I actually even drive around the parking lot a little bit while filming, but he drove the car here, and the complaint was this noise. So you guys are gonna hear, we're gonna cut to the car now, and you guys will hear it as I switch through the gears, and then we're going to come back to the bench. We're going to pull the converter out. All right, so I'll see you guys in a few minutes. All right, so we're sitting in the car, and I'm going to start it up. All right, you can see the mileage there, 23,000 miles on this. All right, so now we're in park. I'm going to select reverse. You'll hear the noise. Neutral and drive. Now I'm going to move it around the parking lot a little bit. I'm going to come to a stop. There we go. Neutral, reverse, and park. So again, you know, classic sign of a converter, but we're going to see if we're dealing with a converter or possibly a stripped stator. All right, so we're going to head back to the bench. All right, so you guys heard the noise. So what I'll do is I'll pull the converter out, and then I'll get a little closer so we can see the problem if it is a stripped stator, which I believe it is. Okay, so I'm going to pull this thing out. And 100% we're dealing with a stripped stator. Let me get a little closer for you. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this, but we're going to pull this thing apart now. I'm going to pull the bell off, and then I'm going to pull the pump out because I got to change the pump. And I was so sure that the problem was a stator that I already bought a brand new Ford pump. All right, so I'm gonna get ready, get set up, and we're gonna go ahead and take the bell housing off. All right, so what we'll do today is probably just split this thing open. So what I wanna do first is I'm gonna wind up putting this up on the back here. We have the input speed sensor, and we have the auto start stop accumulator. So I want to take those out because I don't want to damage anything when this is up on its back. Okay, input speed sensor. All right, now this here Looks like it's a torque 30. Let me get a small extension. Okay, pretty good, 27. All right, it's a 30. All right, so we got one on the bottom. Let me get that out first. Okay. Now we got two more, and this will come right out. There's also a tube in here that may fall out. Okay. All right, so it has a gasket, it has a screen, a couple of dowel pins, so we're gonna leave that here. And there should be a tube. Right here. Okay. All right, so all that is out of the way. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take the bolts out here. That is a 13. Okay. So of course, I'm going to be changing the filter as well. So even if this was a converter problem and the transmission was out and down, I would put a filter in it too. Because other than that, you can't put a filter in it. All right. Let me get a 10. Where's my 10? And the fluid's kind of crappy, but a low mileage, 20,000. First time I really ever seen this. I thought for sure we're going to be dealing with the bad converters because the converters are more common to go bad on these than the Stator is the first one I've seen. A lot of times the sprags go bad in the converter, so when you put the car in drive, it starts shaking violently, and the thing wants to take off all by itself. Okay, so let's get these out. I've got some fluid. I want to get as much fluid as I can out of this. Also, okay. All right, so everything is out. Now, let's see if we can pop the top on this thing. I'll just back it up a little bit, raise it up. Okay. I'm not going to come out so easy. Get it to move a little here. Okay. Okay. That's got it. Okay. Oh. All right, so we'll let this drain and move this aside here for now. All right, now we're going to get the pump out. And so we got a bearing here, there, and we want to get the pump out. I'm going to change the filter. I'll show you the Stator. And then what I'll do is tomorrow I'll clean up the two halves we'll put it back together. And the converter's actually not going to be here for a couple of days. So this also is, I believe, 12. Sorry, it is a 10. Take the filter out. Okay, here's the filter. Put a new one in. And here's the pump. You can see right here. Totally stripped out. Now, when I do these 6 F-35s, every single transmission that I do of these gets a new pump because they are a bit of a problem. Or out where the pressure regulator valve is. All right, and here's my brand new Ford pump. All right, you can see that. Nice and new, brand new. All I gotta do is just put this thing in and bolt it down. Here is my filter. So, that is good for now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clean up the halves because there's no gasket here. There's going to be silicone. So I want to get these. I'm going to run it through my washer tomorrow, at least this one, and we can go ahead and work on putting this back together and back on and finish this unit. Alrighty. So that's it for now, and I'm going to catch up with you guys tomorrow. I'm going to keep going. I want to get this all cleaned up. All right, so this morning I cleaned up the bell housing, so now we can assemble the bell housing, and then we're going to use silicone, and there is no gasket, and we can put the two halves together and tighten it back down. Then I'll just have to wait for the converter, which is going to be here probably in a couple of days. There was nothing close. Then we can go ahead and put this back in the car. All right, so let's get some grease here because we can install the pump. Now, just say, for instance, that the converter was the problem. And I had said to this guy, listen, well, the transmission is out. I'm going to change the filter. That would make the most sense. Just split it like we did and put a filter in it and pull the pump out. So, again, here is the filter, and since this is a brand new pump, the pump has all brand new seals. So if I was to pull this pump out to put a filter in it, I would want to put a new O-ring here, and a very important seal is this metal clad seal here. That is for the torque converter. So a lot of times if you pull this, pop the top off or something, you know, maybe the seal might get caught, so you got to be very careful. So if the converter would have been a problem, we would have got a new seal here for the pump O-ring and a new metal clad seal here for the converter. Okay. All right, so we're going to put some grease on the filter O-ring. Bring this down a little bit. Okay. Okay, so that's how that'll sit, just like that. Bring this back up. All right, so now we can take the pump and filter and put it on as one. Bolts in, we'll run them down, and then torque these to about 20 foot-pounds. I also put lots of lube on the shaft to make sure that seal, that little metal clad seal, doesn't tear or anything. I use STP, I use the trans gel, and then just slide it on straight. Okay. Now let me find my socket. You can actually go a little tighter than 20. This one about 23. All right, so we're ready to go here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause it because I have to, I want to put the silicone on, and I got to get a crate to stand on so I can stand on it and just make sure this thing drops in nice and straight, no problem. And I'm going to, again, lube up the shaft here where the seal rides. I'm going to lube up the seal. And we'll be able to just drop this right on and put the bolts in. All right, so just give me a couple of minutes, I'll be right back. All right, so we're ready to go. I have the silicone around the case, my bearings greased in, that little metal clad seal on the pump rides on this shaft here, the input shaft, if you will. So I've got a lot of grease there, a lot of grease on the seal. All right, so I have a box here I'm gonna stand on so I can just kind of lean over and drop this thing on straight. go here. This one with the stud goes here. And we got 4 inside. Run them down. Okay. Give me 1 second here, somebody's here. All right, so I have this set to 30 foot-pounds. Just make sure everything is tight. I honestly don't know if that's the actual torque spec, but I just have it set to that. Okay. Alright. So, what I'm going to do now, we got to put the auto start stop accumulator back, the input speed sensor back on. I just want to let the silicone dry a little bit. So I'm going to do a couple of things, and I'll be back in a little while, and we could put those items back on, and then this will be ready to go. Alright, so I'll be back shortly. Alright, so the silicone is nice and dry. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the start stop accumulator back in, the input speed sensor, and we'll finish it up. So here is the start stop, and this is the gasket. All right, so we're going to put this back on, put this here for a second. Now we have our tube that we're going to put in. All right, this kind of is going to go in and go down. The tube will kind of face down. So we'll go right in. There we go, like that. Perfect. All right, and these will go into the 2 dowels. And we've got 3 T30 bolts. Snug them up here. All right. Now we have our input speed sensor. So get a little grease on the O-ring there. 8mm socket. Okay. Got this thing propped up on a block of wood. Okay. All right, so we're good to go. Just got to wait for the torque converter. As I said, it's a couple of days away, but I got to keep going here because it's extremely busy and I don't want to fall behind. So, again, 2018 Ford Fusion, 20,000 miles on the car. Came in with the noise in drive and reverse only. Went away in park and neutral. As you would drive the car, you would hear it. But the fact is, it went away in drive and, I'm sorry, park and neutral. So when we pulled the converter out, we found the stator completely stripped. 20,000 miles on the car, and it's actually the first time that I've seen this. But as a rebuild procedure, when I do these 6 F-35s, every single one of them gets a new pump. They're really not that expensive from Ford. Maybe I get discounted parts, so, you know, $150, $160, it certainly doesn't pay not to change it. And that's it. So I thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you next one.